Vertigo came out in 1958, is directed by Alfred Hitchcock, and stars Jimmy Stewart and Kim Novak. Is it one of the greatest thrillers old Hollywood ever put out? Well, we're going to get into that today on the Golden Hour Film Podcast. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Golden Hour Film Podcast. My name is Harry Bailey. I am joined by my co-host, not guest host, Shane Mulvaney. Shane, it's Vertigo Day. How are you?
I'm doing very well. It's been I think I had this on my top 10 movies that I wanted to kind of see a few weeks ago when we put that post up on social media. So it's definitely a movie I've been wanting to revisit, even leaving the podcast aside for a while now. Because I'd only seen it once before this. This has been on the checklist, I think, for a while, so I've been looking forward to this one.
Yeah, it's a very interesting film. We're going to get into our spoiler-free review first and foremost. In the meantime, though, I will say it's a film with... There's so much about this film. There's so much to talk about when it comes to this film. It's got such a atmosphere about it. So many people... So many famous people, so many intelligent people, so many unintelligent people have shared their opinions on Vertigo. And there's a real reason why there's a lot to say about this film, and we'll get into that in our spoiler-free review. But first and foremost, if you could leave a like on this video, if you're watching us on YouTube, that would be amazing. Please do subscribe as well. And if you are listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Deezer, leave a 5-star review or whatever the equivalent is on that app. That would be great. That would be very much appreciated. And of course, as well, make sure to have notifications turned on so that you never miss a video or you never miss an episode. Now it's time for a spoiler-free review. So Shane, as I said off the top, a lot of people in human history have shared their opinions on Vertigo. But I'm sure people are dying to know, what is your opinion of Vertigo?
The most important, jokes aside. Because obviously this was, I think, named by Sight and Sound probably about 10 years ago or 15 years ago-ish maybe as the greatest movie of all time, which, obviously that's a pretty big magazine, so, people definitely take that seriously. I think the first time I watched this, it's not an especially difficult movie to understand from a narrative point of view, but I definitely think there's so many layers that while I really, really enjoyed it, I definitely thought it was probably a tiny bit maybe overblown or overhyped, but still really, really enjoyed it. It's definitely like top 5, top 6 Hitchcock movies for sure. On this viewing, I definitely clicked with me a lot more. And like I said, I already loved it anyway, but I think just a movie about obsession, about madness, about obsession driving you to madness. Definitely like parallels to be drawn between Hitchcock's treatment of women and Scotty's. Yeah, I'm not the first person to make that parallel, that comparison for sure, but it's definitely true. The most unlikable Jimmy Stewart character I think I've ever seen. Like, especially towards the end, he is just an absolute bastard of a man. Kim Novak is sensational in this. I really do think, as great as Jimmy Stewart is, I think this movie would just fall on its face if Kim Novak doesn't rise to the challenge, and she absolutely does. She's such an enigmatic presence in this movie. That like you're not sure what to believe. Is she who she says she is? Is she not? And that goes in both of her kind of both of the kind of halves of the movie, as she obviously plays kind of we'll get onto that obviously. But I definitely think Vertigo, I already considered it like a brilliant movie. Now I absolutely see its classic stays. I think it's such an inventive and such an ambitious movie, visually and in what it's trying to do when it comes to like the real psychological examination of its main character. It's a brilliant movie.
To quote Louis Walsh, Vertigo, I don't like you, I love you. No, I don't think he ever said that about a Vertigo, but he said that
But
about
everything
many
else,
people on the X
pretty
Factor.
much, yeah.
I absolutely adore this film. Shock. It is one of the best San Francisco films ever. It is an incredible thriller. Jimmy Stewart is fantastic in this film. Kim Novak is phenomenal in this film. We'll get into spoilers as to why. The visuals are amazing. Bernard Herrmann's score is amazing. Honestly, after Psycho, maybe his best Hitchcock score he ever did.
I agree.
The editing is absolutely jaw dropping. I want to shout out our boy, who one of the couple of sort of the regular Hitchcock collaborators who we have shouted out before, George Tomasini. He edited a bunch of the movies we've already covered this month. This is obviously, arguably, his best work as an editor. Maybe. I would argue. Also, shout out to that unnamed camera guy who allegedly invented the Vertigo zoom. I don't know if that's true or not, but apparently it was just a camera op who came up with the idea. So if that is true, and if that is you at home listening, fair play to you. I think this is brilliant. I think it is one of the, not to give him too much airtime, but I think it's one of the many instances and one of the many examples where it's clear that as good as he is at making movies, Quentin Tarantino has some of the worst takes and opinions in cinema history. Yeah, this is, as you said, a film about obsession, a film about trauma and like projecting trauma onto people, and yeah, obsession. There's so much in this film to unpack. It's one of the greatest movies we've ever covered on the podcast. That's what I'm going to leave you with in the spoiler-free section. And now for some spoilers, Shane. Best of luck to you. Vertigo, what's it all about?
Yeah, I'll do my best. So it follows a detective or a former detective named John Ferguson, nicknamed Scotty. So at the start of the movie, we see Scotty and a uniformed cop in pursuit of a suspect on a roof.
What an opening.
Yeah, great opening. Just throws you straight into the action. Unfortunately, doesn't really go so well. Scotty starts to dangle from a drain pipe. He loses his footing, starts to dangle from a drain pipe, and it's quite a long way down. You're talking possibly like 100 feet at least. So like if he falls, he dies. The uniformed cop tries to save him, but in the process of doing so, he also loses his bearings, and unfortunately he plummets to his death. And yeah, Scotty has to bear that guilt. He manages to obviously save himself, but he has to bear that guilt and this kind of the impact of this trauma throughout the rest of the movie, and really it impacts him heavily. And it's kind of hinted at that he wasn't exactly like the most popular man in the police force after this, that like they maybe think that was a little bit of a cowardly maybe move from him. I think that's kind of something that follows him throughout the movie, this idea that he is a coward and that he is basically not a brave person. But anyway, some time has passed and he's hanging out with his acquaintance, his friend Midge, who he used to be in a relationship with. Midge turned him down when he asked her to marry him, and she is a painter, and so they are still friends, but obviously she's trying to help him get back on his feet, and he's trying to do his best to kind of live his life and get back on his feet, like I said, but obviously he still has this trauma that's hanging over him. And then one day he gets a call from an old college friend who wants to meet with him about a potential job opportunity to work for him as a private detective. And so he goes to this friend, and that's when things start to go awry for Scotty.
Yeah, this old friend, Gavin, who, it's worth noting, everyone in the film calls him John, except for Gavin and then people associated with Gavin who calls him Scotty, which is just very interesting. Kind of distinguishes what he's like around people in his normal life versus what he's like when he goes into this world where he basically becomes Scotty rather than John. Gavin is a guy who's married into a woman of wealth, and he, on the surface, is worried about his wife. Apparently, she says that she goes to one place for the day or she goes shopping, but in actuality, her speedometer says, or her mileage on her car says that she's been going way further and driving way more than she says she is, and that mid-conversation she regularly will just drift off and just become a different person. He even alludes to the idea that she might even be like at some level like possessed.
Yeah.
So he asks John or Scotty or Ferguson, if you want to call him by his surname, to tail her because he knows a little bit about him. They've obviously caught up since, and he kind of begrudgingly accepts. And it is worth noting that this film is shot in this division, because when we go to Ernie's, boy, do the colours pop off. We talked about it earlier on in this arc with like To Catch a Thief and how the colours pop in that. But I would argue that no colour popped in a Hitchcock film better than in Vertigo. This film looks incredible. And I also want to shout out the opening title sequence as well. Like the shot of Vertigo, or the edit of Vertigo coming out of the woman's eye is like so iconic. And yeah, without getting, I know this is like the spoiler fill section, without getting too spoilery, the wife who he's meant to be tailing stops right next to Scotty, and he takes notice of her and kind of becomes infatuated with her. She's a Hitchcock blonde. She's in this lavish green and navy dress, which pops against this like incredibly memorable wallpaper in the background, this sort of purpley pink wallpaper. She walks out, and then, yeah, for the next while in the film, he's basically tailing this woman who he kind of comes to realize has this mad fixation on a woman, shall we say.
Yeah. This woman she's been staring at the portrait of this woman in a museum, and then she goes to a hotel, and he goes to kind of inquire about the woman in this room, and he kind of gets fobbed off by the landlady, but it becomes clear that she is intrigued by this portrait, and then it actually becomes clear as well to Scotty that she is a direct descendant of the woman in the portrait. After some digging, some detective work, he finds out that the woman is called Carlotta Valdez, and that Madeline is her great granddaughter, and essentially, really, Carlotta went through a really bad spell where she had her child taken away from her, because I think she was born out of wedlock, and she kind of became broke and didn't have much money, and she died in poverty, and basically
she died of suicide because her wealthy partner basically took the child from her and cast her aside, and it turned out that this hotel that Madeline keeps visiting is where she then lived by herself until she took her own life. Worth noting as well that she regularly visits Carlotta Valdez's grave every day as well. So she's very much like, coming back to Gavin's kind of theory, she possibly might be possessed by her ascendant or by her great grandmother, Carlotta, or at least that's the thinking. So she possibly is possessed, and then Scotty follows her to the bay, and she is kind of just hanging around the bay, but then out of nowhere she jumps into the bay, clearly deliberately, by the way. And so Scotty jumps in after her and obviously saves her and takes her back to his apartment. And later that day, she obviously wakes up and is kind of confused and doesn't really know what's going on. Scotty sees a chance basically to ingratiate himself with Madeline. Yeah. First of all, it's worth saying as well that some of the shots of that Golden Gate Bridge are like
Crazy, yeah.
Mind-blowingly good. Mind-blowingly good. But yeah, it's basically, yeah, the rest of the film, up to a point, is explained in a singular long shot where we see Scotty is sat in this chair in his place. He's stoking the fire. It pans into the kitchen where you can see that her dress is hanging up. And then it pans into the bedroom where you can see that she is in bed. So he has obviously taken her back, undressed her, to prevent her from getting hypothermia, has left a dressing gown on her bed. And then when she wakens, it's her husband ringing Scotty to be like, is she okay? Blah, blah, blah. And Scotty's like, yeah, no, I'll bring her to you when she's awake, even though she's woken up in front of him. He then says, like, there's the gown's there for you. And then, with the context of the film, it's very interesting. But when she comes out, she asks what happened. She has no recollection of any of the Carlotta Valdez stuff. All she recognizes is that she went to the shops, which is what she's been telling her husband. But, yeah, what she doesn't know, or at least, what Madeline doesn't know is that, obviously, Scotty's been hired as a detective to tail her. So Scotty lies to her, and when she's like, why did you bring me back here? He's like, oh, well, I didn't know where you lived. Which obviously,
isn't true.
not the case.
Yeah.
Because, he's been tailing her for how long, and he's been meeting with Gavin. He definitely knew, like, if Gavin's ringing his home phone, they definitely have more connection than he's letting on here with Madeline. But, yeah, he basically tells her, like, look, get warm by the fire. I'll bring you back to your husband as soon as I can. He then answers the phone a second time from Gavin, and Gavin basically says, she's 26. Carlotta Valdez committed suicide when she was 26. Please keep an eye on her, because if she threw herself into the bay on purpose, this could be her attempting to take her life. So when he puts the phone down and he runs out, she's gone. And then we get a scene with a bit of music from Bernard Herrmann that really adds to the atmosphere of this film, really adds to the level of uncertainty, where we see Midge is outside and she's obviously like become borderline obsessive with Scotty herself. She's obviously not happy that he's getting this deep, because earlier on she basically doesn't buy the whole possession thing and asks, is Madeline pretty? And he says yeah, and then she gets out of the car. So since then she's kind of become fixated on this whole thing. I don't think she's happy. So she's hanging around outside Scotty's house in her car, and she sees Madeline run out, hop in her car and drive off. I just felt like that kind of comes out of nowhere and really adds to the level of uncertainty, because it's like, if Scotty's watching her and Midge is watching him, what's really going on here? There's clearly more than meets the eye than just this sort of, not basic plot, but this kind of normal thriller plot. There's obviously a lot more going on in this film, because there's a real level of uncertainty and uncomfortableness and just tension in general.
Absolutely, yeah.
Discomfort, I should have said, by the way.
Yeah, Scotty sees his opportunity to, as I said, ingratiate himself with Madeline. And so they start to hang out more, and I think he does want to help her understand why she's having these kind of blackouts, but also he is very much like in it for himself, and he wants to seem like the knight in shining armour. And
yeah, he's becoming obsessive for sure.
Absolutely. And there's a great scene in the woods where he's trying to finally get through to her, and they do share a kiss, and then he's trying to get through to her with like all these trees, and she seems to think that the trees are talking to her and stuff, and then they kiss, and there's like crashing waves in the background, and it's a brilliant microcosm of like the relationship, the volatility, and the kind of danger that basically that he's putting her in, and she's putting him in, I guess, as well. And like just like the fact that it's gaining a life of its own kind of thing, that like yeah, there's forces that are kind of dragging them together, or yeah, that maybe neither of them can control and stuff. And yeah, like it's pretty memorable. And then we see a scene where they're hanging out and they seem to be blissful, and then they come to a church, and for some reason she has like this urge just to go into that church, and Scotty seems to think that something bad is going to happen in this church. And then his acrophobia, his fear of heights, comes into play, and
Vertigo zoom.
yeah, she's trying to run up these steps, and he realizes, oh shit, she's gonna try and take her own life here. So he desperately tries to go after her, but again, his acrophobia kicks in, and yeah, he starts to get vertigo, and he starts to get really dizzy and not seasick, sick, and yeah, like he basically can't go any further past a certain point. And then we just get the crazy scene where he sees out
Yeah.
the window of a tower, and he just sees Madeline's body plummet down, and she lands, and yeah, she has, it appears, taken her own life. And yeah, for the second time in this movie now, Scotty is dealing with an insane trauma of obviously
Yeah.
someone plummeting to their death that he is powerless to prevent, and blames himself. And yeah, there is an inquest about the death, about Madeline's death. Scotty is eventually cleared, and again,
Worth noting, it's like utterly humiliating for him. Like basically
Yeah.
everyone in the courtroom just calls him a coward, and
Yeah.
they keep like referencing the fact that, well, she'd still be alive if he wasn't so afraid of heights.
yeah,
But yeah, he just basically gets absolutely battered whilst he's down.
very much so. And yeah, like I think they're slightly not suspicious, but certainly they really do think that he could have prevented this. And Gavin, Madeline's obviously husband, he comes clean about the whole kind of why he hired him to be his private investigator and why and stuff. And he is given basically a full kind of clean bill of health by this inquest, and there's no suspicion on him whatsoever. So there's no kind of question that he did anything wrong, or basically they are absolutely satisfied that this was a case of someone taking their own life. And yeah, so obviously Scotty, for the second time in the movie, has to kind of pick up the pieces of this very, very well. I guess the first one was an accident. Definitely wasn't the case of someone taking their own life, but again, for the second time in the movie, he is kind of at least blames himself, or thinks he's partially responsible for someone dying.
And then we get the dream sequence. The incredible dream sequence. The visuals are off the charts.
Yeah.
It is amazing. Yeah, he is committed to like an institution where he basically has become borderline mute. Like he's just so stuck in his own head. And Midge is doing everything she can, but she tells one of the doctors there, like, Mozart's not gonna pull him out of whatever he's in. He is like deeply traumatized, and he's clearly still in love with the woman who's dead. So, bear with me a second. Eventually, he does get out of this institution, and he kind of goes back to redoing that old loop that he used to do when he was tailing her. And first of all, he sees a woman who looks exactly like her, and he runs up, and it turns out it's an older woman in like an identical suit with an identical car. And he was like, where did you get this? Where'd you get this? And she was like, oh yeah, the one that used to live here, his husband sold it to me, Gavin. Awful shame what happened to her. And he's like, oh. And he kind of frequents all the other places that were on his regular route of tailing her, and there seems to be so many women that look just like her. Eventually he gets to the florists that she frequented, and he sees a woman who kind of looks like her, but she's brunette and she's dressed differently. She's got thicker eyebrows. And he starts following her. And eventually he actually follows her back to her hotel room. And he knocks on the door, and she opens, and she doesn't want anything to do with him. She's like, what are you doing following me up here? That's weird. And he like kind of comes clean. He's like, "Oh, I've literally been following you from the street up here. I just want to ask you some questions."
Sorry to cut it.
Originally, she's like, "No."
Should
Say
be
it again?
said, the hotel room is the same hotel room as well that
Yes, of course. Room 501
had obviously gone to previously, so that does like prick up his kind of suspicions as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Eventually, she concedes and she lets him in. And again, at first, she's kind of standoffish with him. She doesn't want anything to do with him. But eventually, he's just like, "Listen, can I just take you out for dinner?" And, in any other circumstance, this fella has followed you in off the street, has come into your hotel room, asking you all these weird questions and asks you to take him out for dinner. That's kind of weird that she then says yes, but then he leaves. And then we get the reveal, Shane.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it is in fact Madeline, or is it? Well, it's a woman called Judy who was hired by Gavin to play the role of Madeline, Gavin's wife, because he basically had a plan to kill his wife, and so he hired this woman to pose as Madeline and pretend that she was Madeline to Scotty and convince him of all these things, that she had gone mad and that she had been possessed and that she obviously wanted to take her own life, and that she eventually did take her own life. And yeah, it's a crazy sequence. Obviously we see it in the form of like a dream/flashback sequence where it's all revealed to us, because at this point obviously Scotty has gone, so he doesn't know this yet. He hasn't put it together. But yeah, the crazy things have not even begun yet in this movie. Yeah. They drop this bomb and then it just gets crazier from here. So they go to dinner and Scotty, she is obviously still in love with Scotty. She has fallen in love with Scotty in the role of playing Madeline, and she obviously can't tell him this. But yeah, they start to hang out more.
Kim Novak is so fucking good in this film.
She's incredible. Like, she has to play this role of this woman. Like it's insane what she has to do, and she pulls it off with aplomb. It's like this movie falls, like I said, flat on its face if she's not great at this, and she is insanely great because she has to pull off this high wire trick of being this woman who is actually this other woman who still has to pretend to be this other woman. It's insane. Yeah. So eventually she obviously wants to kind of get closer again to Scotty, and she allows Scotty to kind of grow closer, but then wouldn't you know it, Scotty doesn't want Judy for Judy. He wants Madeline. And slowly and surely again, Hitchcock maybe potentially commenting on himself, he starts to tell her how to dress, how to talk, how to act, how to do her hair, how to do her nails, her eyebrows. And then eventually it just wears Judy down to the point that she's just so distraught that like he doesn't want her for her, that he is still obsessed with this character that she had created. And then we get that scene where he has bought her a dress and he has told her to do her hair a certain way, and then we get that scene where she walks out of the room and she is literally like, she is Madeline. Like she has gone back full circle. She has gone back to the character of Madeline that she had been playing.
The big kind of gut punch for Judy, who, let's not forget, caused this man incredible trauma by helping a man murder his wife.
She's not a great person. It's very fair.
But with that context, God love her, he makes her change her hair color from brunette to blonde, which is like that's the real degrading one for her. Is she basically has to that's where she knows she is not why they're together. He's not with her for Judy, he is with her for Madeline. But again, preface it with, she helped a man murder his wife and give this man enormous trauma. So feel bad for her, but also remember that. And
then you see the famous necklace scene. The painting of Carlotta Valdez had this kind of red kind of emerald. I don't know if emeralds are red, but anyway, there's red jewel.
A ruby?
Ruby, yeah, that's it. And wouldn't you know it, she can't help herself. She has to put this ruby on, this necklace on, and then it's like Jimmy Stewart is amazing in this moment. It's like he just gets
Yeah,
hit
great
with
shot as
a
well.
freight train, and it just immediately all comes to him, and he's like, "Oh fuck!" It's like he realizes he's been duped from the start, and doesn't say anything. Doesn't say anything at this point. But they go on a drive, and he kind of starts to act erratically on this drive, and they're supposed to be
This is
going out for
actually like
dinner.
so, this is probably Jimmy Stewart's best work in the whole
Yeah,
film. Is like here to the end, he just becomes like an absolute Tasmanian
maniac.
devil.
Yeah, literally, the movie. It's probably, like I said. I don't think probably. It's definitely his most unlikable performance, especially from like, again, at the halfway point onwards, when he starts to become just such a controlling, emotionally abusive dickhead. But in this moment, when he
Because
realizes,
again, when you need to provide context that in his head, Judy is just an ordinary woman off the
yeah,
street
yeah,
who he is manipulating and telling her how to dress and telling her how
yeah,
to, regardless of the fact that this is a woman who, you know,
yeah, he doesn't know that
did
yet, though, in
help
fairness.
kill someone. He doesn't know that.
He doesn't know that, yeah. So he's very like, yeah. Look, everything is that needs to be said has been said about that. But yeah, they go on this drive, and he just starts acting more maniacal and more kind of erratic, and then they eventually go back to the church, and obviously she kind of knows something really, really bad's about to happen.
Yeah.
He confronts her, and then she kind of comes clean about the whole murder plot and that what she did for Gavin, and she's like, well, look, I fell in love with you. What happened? So like, I don't know. You can't just be with me for me. And then they're up on the tower, and then she sees a nun, or does she? Because again, is the nun real? Is it her kind of religious faith and her kind of guilt coming down on her all at once? Yeah. And then what do you know? She actually does throw herself off out the tower window, and she does actually kill herself. Sorry, she does actually take her own life. And then you just see Scotty looking out over the window. Yeah, knowing that he is very, very much responsible for this. If he wasn't responsible for the actual Madeline dying, but obviously he wasn't, and he wasn't responsible for the cop dying, then he is greatly responsible for this death.
Yeah.
Insane ending.
Wild. Like, that's how it ends. It's just
Yeah,
him standing in the gap of this bell tower, looking down, and the wind is blowing. And you don't see the nun in the shot, may I add.
yeah,
The end.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, bleak as hell ending.
So, Shane, Vertigo, is it any use?
Yeah, Vertigo is incredible. Yeah, it's mesmerizing. It's just an absolute odyssey into this. It goes really deep and dark, and like into this man's soul almost, and like he's yeah, just a heart of darkness through. As he just yeah, he basically becomes an absolute monster essentially. And yeah, Jimmy Stewart is amazing. Kim Novak, again, to reiterate for the 50th time, is sensational in this movie. Definitely up there for like leading contender for Golden Hour Film Podcast Awards, I should say, for 2026.
Definitely.
Like, insane performance. And yeah, like there's just so many incredible shots. Obviously, it looks incredible in this division, but there's so many incredible shots. Not least, obviously, that incredible dream sequence. Yeah, it's memorable, right? It's an absolute masterpiece.
What'd you give it?
I gave it 4.5, and now I think I'm just gonna go 5. I'm gonna go 5.
I was gonna say.
No, it's 4.5. I don't know why that's what I gave it. Like that was my initial letterbox review when I came, and I'm
Yeah.
still like 4.5 is still obviously great. Like, but yeah, I'm gonna go 5.
Yeah.
The full shebang.
Yeah, for me, this is like genuinely. You may hate this opinion, but this is like Citizen Kane levels for me. Like, this is like up there, one of the best films ever made for me. It is incredible. One scene we didn't touch on that I really want to reference that really digs into the discomfort for the audience. It's such a horrible scene, but it's worth noting because it's amazing. There's a scene where Midge has clued herself in enough as to the case and his obsession with her. And as we know, she's a painter. And
Yeah.
he comes back to hers, and she's kind of making polite conversation. She's talking about, maybe them two going out or whatever. And he's been real direct with her recently. And, they were engaged at one point. And then she turns around while she's been painting, and it's almost treated like a jump scare in a horror movie, particularly for Scotty's character, because she has painted the painting that Madeline has been visiting the whole time, but with her own face on the body. It is such a fucked up scene, and he just stumbles out of there, and then she has like a panic attack because she's basically pushed him away for good now. She is effectively, to use a stupid 21st century scene or term, she's basically given him the ick with this scene. He no longer has any sort of loving opinion of her in the way that he used to back when he obviously asked her to marry him. Whether or not they're even in love or not is its own thing. But that scene really does get under your skin as an audience member, because it's so uncomfortable for so many different reasons for everyone involved in the scene. It's so uncomfortable. I love this film. Editing on point. Score, one of the best that we have had this year. Hitchcock blows me away. This, for me, this is at least top 3 Hitchcock. I know it's they're like the most bait 3, but it is Vertigo, Psycho, Rear Window for me. I think personal preference still puts Psycho above it, just because other than like Too Fast, Too Furious, I think Psycho is the movie I've seen the most times in my life.
Yeah.
It's probably like, my list is bizarre. It's probably like Too Fast, Too Furious, Psycho, Empire Strikes Back, Philosopher's Stone. I feel like there's another random one in there though.
What do you think mine is? I
would say yours is School of Rock.
Yeah, School of Rock.
God, after School of Rock, I'm stumped because I know School of Rock is definitely your number one.
School of Rock is definitely number 1. After that, I'd say potentially.
It's actually probably quite high up there for me too. School of Rock. Actually, I've seen School of Rock a lot of times.
I've seen it like at least a
lot of times,
200 times. There's literally a point in my life, obviously gone right way off Vertigo now, but there's a point in my life when I was growing up that like me and my brother could both like just say the entire film from start to finish. Like we'd seen it. It was basically like a daily watch, start to finish. Like I've seen it easily 200 times for sure. Masterpiece. I love that movie so much. Anyway, yeah, Vertigo.
Yeah, Vertigo, mind blowing. 5 out of 5. Jimmy Stewart is incredible. Kim Novak is mind blowing. Iconic isn't the word. There's so many shots in this film that are just cinema in a nutshell. Whether it be the editing of the dream sequence or just some of the shots of the Golden Gate Bridge. There's so much in this film. There's a shot where, early on in the film, where at this point we'll call him John, is tailing Madeline, who he thinks is Madeline, in a florist. And he pokes his head out the florist, and we get this shot where she's looking in a mirror and he is behind the mirror, and it is incredible. Yeah, this VistaVision, incredible. Like the colors pop in crazy ways. Obviously, with those VistaVision cameras, Hitchcock went to like a diner with crazy wallpaper, a florist, a bookshop, like just places where colors pop, and incredible. This is, honest to God, one of the best films we've ever covered on the podcast. I couldn't recommend it enough. Hitchcock in his prime, I would say. I'd say this is we're currently at Hitchcock in his prime. Maybe the best 3-film run any director has ever gone on starts with this and ends with Psycho and has a little old film called North by Northwest in the middle. Like, that is maybe the best 3-film run the director's ever had. It's certainly in the conversation for it. And obviously we're covering North by Northwest next week.
I will shout out Billy Wilder. Around this time period, he had a great three film run as well. But anyway, that's me giving my obligatory Billy Wilder reference. There we are.
Yeah, we haven't covered him in a while, to be fair.
Yeah,
we need to touch on him soon, I feel.
Yeah.
Will we get a quick round of Guess the Movie in?
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
It's time for Guess the Movie. So, for those of you at home listening or watching for the first time, it's pretty simple. You can play along if you want. If you're listening, though, you have no choice. You have to play along. We are going to show a movie to the screen. We then each get 7 yes or no questions to figure out what the film is. All time in the history of this series, it is only 10 all, which shows our batting average is pretty poor.
Yeah.
But hey, it's 10 all. It's a draw. So it's pretty tense stuff. Do you want to go first or second, Shane?
I'll go first.
Okay, I will look away.
There we are now. Hopefully it focuses. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, go ahead.
Is this a film that you've seen?
No.
Is this a film that I've seen?
Yes.
Is this an Alfred Hitchcock film?
No.
Is this a film from the 50s or 60s?
No.
Is this a film from the 20s or 30s?
No.
Okay, 40s film I've seen, you haven't. Time to lock in. Obvious first question, is this a film noir?
Yes, I believe it is. Yeah, I believe it is. Again, I haven't seen it, but I believe it's referred to as a film noir, yeah.
How many questions do I have left?
One more.
Right, so I'm going to rattle them off. This could be DOA. This could be I Wouldn't Be in Your Shoes. This could be Naked City. This could be Crossfire. This could be Johnny O'Clock. This could be The Postman Always Rings Twice. This could be a lot of films, so I'm just going to have to... I'm probably just going to have to go like time period and throw... Like, did this film come out in... See, this might sound like a stupid question, but most of the films noir that I've seen that Shane hasn't were towards the end of the 40s. So I'm going to ask, did this film come out in 1947 or later?
No.
Okay, I think that actually does narrow it down a bit. So... film noir from the early to mid 40s. That still leaves Cat People isn't really a noir. It's more of a... It gets called a noir, but I just don't think it is. It's a horror film, if anything. Gaslight is a noir, and it's a fantastic one, and you haven't seen it. Is it Gaslight?
That's your guess?
Yeah, just gonna go with it as Gaslight.
No. The movie is, and I've gone because you've tagged it as a noir in your review. That's the only reason I say it's noir. I think a few other people have as well from what I'm looking at. The Woman in the Window from Fritz Lang.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a noir. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, good old Dan Derya. Love shitting that guy out. Right, my turn. Right, I've got one.
Okay.
And it's focused. Go for it.
Is this a movie I've seen?
Yes.
Is this a movie you've seen?
Yes.
Didn't want to have to ask this. Have we covered this on the podcast?
No.
Right, okay. That does narrow it down a bit. Or maybe it doesn't. Is this movie from the 50s or 60s?
Yes.
Is this movie from the 50s?
Yes.
Have either of us watched this movie in 2026?
I will have to check that.
50s movie we've
No.
both seen. No.
No.
Neither of us have.
No.
Alright, that does hopefully narrow it down a bit.
One more film. Or one more question.
Have we covered the Lady Killers? We haven't. Could be the Lady Killers. Right, that's on the list. Night the Hunter, that's definitely on the list. The Lady and the Tramp, that's on the list. 7 Year Itch is on the list, and I was just talking about Billy Wilder. Right, is this movie... Is this movie a comedy?
Nah.
Right, so it's not 7 Year Itch.
You gotta guess.
Could have asked a better question there, to be fair. I'm going to say... It's not the Lady Killers, because it's not a comedy, actually. I was going to say that. Right, I'm just going to go... Is this movie The Hitchhiker?
It is.
Yes! Yes, get in there.
It is.
Directed by Ida Lupino. First ever film noir directed by a woman. Good movie. Okay, who more round, yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. I actually had the Lady Killers up, but because I just mentioned it, I'm not going to go with that. So, I don't know if actually you've seen that, have you?
Lady Killers I have indeed.
No, not Lady
Love
Killers.
that.
I had another one in mind. But yeah, Lady Killers is great.
The Alexander McKendrick one, I should say. Not the...
Yeah, not
I haven't
the
seen the
Coens.
Coen Brothers one.
No, I haven't seen it either. Okay, yep. I have one up there. And I think that's focused, yep. Go ahead.
Is this a film that I've seen?
Yes.
Is it a film that you've seen?
Yes.
Is it from the 50s or 60s?
No.
Is it from the 20s or 30s?
Yes.
Oof. Interesting. Is it directed by Alfred Hitchcock?
No.
Is this a silent film?
No. One question left.
God, I've really not left myself much here. Is it a film we've covered on the podcast?
No.
Okay, that actually does narrow it down. Right. This would be pretty clutch from me. Do you know what? I'm just going to absolutely Hail Mary it and say, is it The Wizard of Oz?
It is not. The movie is directed by Howard Hawks, 20th Century.
Yeah. Watched it not too long ago.
Yep.
I will get one up here.
Perfecto.
And if you want to look away, we're good to go.
Is this a movie we've both seen?
We have not both seen this film.
Is this a movie I've seen?
No.
Right, so only you've seen. Is this a movie from the 30s or 40s?
No.
Is this a movie from the 50s or 60s?
No.
20s?
Are you asking that?
Yeah, is this a movie from the 20s?
Yes. That's kind of the only decade that was left, though.
No, 70s, no? I guess
I'd never go with a 70s film.
Yeah, so 20s. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have wasted that question.
I even was like, are you sure?
Go into your letterbox. onto the 20s. I think there's going to be more here than I would expect because you've seen a lot of silence that I haven't.
I've seen a few. Yeah, I've dipped my toe in the pond of the silent films, I shall say.
Right, there's not.
But is it a silent?
Yeah, that's true. A good question to ask, actually. Is this a silent movie?
It is, yeah.
Is this a movie? Is this a foreign language silent? I say that. You know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Yeah. It is not a foreign language silent. It is an English language silent film.
Right, okay. That does rule out a couple that I was looking at. It rules out Battleship Potemkin, Metropolis, Passion of Joan of Arc. Okay. My initial thought was Steamboat Bill Jr. It could be the jazz singer, though. Actually, not jazz singer is a talkie, what am I saying? So it's not jazz singer. Ignore me. Phantom of the Opera. Could be the Phantom of the Opera. Do you know what? I'm going to stick with my initial thought and say Steamboat Bill Jr.
Well, Shane, unfortunately, I do have to tell you that it's a film that I've also not seen.
Really? Oh, crap. I just forgot to ask that. God. I was wasting the last 5 minutes.
So kind of the whole time you were just going down the wrong. I picked a Hitchcock silent film by the name of The Ring.
Okay, right. Well. Oh well.
My apologies.
That's the way it goes.
That does mean that all time Shane now takes the lead again. I don't know if I've ever been winning this series.
I have. Now, I think you were winning a couple of weeks ago, yeah, and then I managed to level it back up.
No, I haven't been winning since at least
early on, maybe.
Yeah, like in the first 2 weeks, maybe.
Right. Okay.
It does make it 11-10 to Shane. Next week, we conclude our Hitchcock 50s arc. Good God, that flew by. With North by Northwest, Cary Grant and the incredible James Mason. And then, all those films you guys at home picked for the Classic Film World Cup. We then have 8 films in a row after North by Northwest that was voted for by yourselves. But in the meantime, we do have a Hitchcock film to complete. And then, God, how many Hitchcock films would that be then? Well over 20 anyway.
Yeah, is it 30? I think it might be 30. I think we might have done, no, is it? There was 12 in the 40s. There's 10 in this decade.
11 if you include Rear Window, which we'd already covered.
Yeah, so that's 23. The Birds is 24.
Psycho and the Birds.
Psycho is 25. So 25 is it?
And the Birds.
Yeah. So I think it's 25 as far as I know. Well.
Yeah. So again, of course, let us know. In the future, I promise we'll cover more Hitchcock films after North by Northwest, but do let us know what Hitchcock films you would like to see us cover whenever that is. It won't be anytime too soon, but hey, we've done his 40s films. We're about to finish his 50s films. We're clearly fans of the guy. But in the meantime, I've been Harry Bailey.
I'm Shane Mulvaney.
And that was Vertigo Day. That was a day that we managed to finally cover a little old film called Vertigo. Maybe Jimmy Stewart will finally win his Golden Hour Film Podcast Award, though, God, I just don't know. Thank you very much and goodbye.